Is actually someone who's never done stand-up comedy before. Are you guys excited? All right, with that, I think we brought the entire crowd. I can't pronounce his last name. Please put your hands together for David!
Sorry, I just need to take a quick video of you guys. My dad didn't believe I was going to do this. It is fantastic to be here. Thanks again for everyone who opened. I didn't think I'd have so many famous comics opening for me on my first night. Pretty special. So, like I said, my dad, when I told him that I was doing stand-up comedy, he had quite an interesting reaction. He kind of sat there awkwardly and looked at me and said, "You're not even funny, and no one's gonna come." I mean, like, on one hand, I really didn't like the lack of confidence he gave me, but he really did, on the other hand, help solve the problem of finding the most accurate title for my sex tape I could get. Yeah, anyways, it's an absolute honor to be here in Halifax. I've wanted to live here most of my life. Now, for the most contentious bit of my act, I am from Toronto. I heard a boo. Yeah, I know. Walking around here feels like a Trump supporter in California. But that's not to say there's not some stand-up people out in Toronto, myself being a literal example of this sentiment. There are some absolute savages, to say the least, I'm not gonna lie. I remember this one time, I was in the financial district down there, Bay Street, if any of you have ever been. It is absolutely terrifying. It's like people are walking around at 10 in the morning in their custom suits, looking coked out, just ready to steal all your money. And when you look as vulnerable and frail as I do most of the time, it is not a pleasant place to be. And, so I'm walking around, I didn't have my phone with me, and I needed some directions because I didn't know where the hell I was going, because I do not belong there. And I see this kind of shark approaching me, and I'm like, all right, I gotta talk to this guy, no matter how scared I am about it. So I needed to motivate myself. I was pretty nervous, so I thought back to what my grade 9 gym teacher told me. So with a thumping chorus of "Daddy didn't raise a quitter" running through my mind, I proceeded to walk in his general direction. And I got about 3 feet away from him, and I knew this was my moment to shine, so I got in what I call the position, which is what I do whenever I'm trying to talk to someone who intimidates me. I lowered my stance, I raised a hand in an unthreatening gesture, and then I slightly tucked my testicles between my legs so my voice would go higher than it already is. And I said, "Excuse me, sir, I need help with some directions." Okay, you guys laugh like that's good, but I literally used that strategy when I asked my boss, who's in the audience, if it'd be okay for me to make that joke in front of her, and she said yes. It worked. I get in the stands. And then, without breaking stride or looking in my direction, he says, "Get the fuck out of my way, you Steve Buscemi-looking pussy." I'm standing there. And when I tell that story, most people are like, "That is the rudest thing I've ever heard. I would have said something and given him a piece of my mind." And I'm like, "Well, then you don't know comedy. That was gold. That was and the funniest thing I've ever heard." I mean, yeah, I'm a little salty that people think when I walk around I look like the love child of Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie, but I mean, it could be worse. And that's what's nice about Halifax. I move here, no one says things like that. You're welcome. It's super nice. But yeah, moving to Halifax is pretty smooth. I love it here. You guys are all awesome people. Wasn't as smooth as when I moved to Scotland. Had a few hiccups with that one. That happened in September. They have this little funny game they like to play where they use words that we use in our everyday life with a completely different connotation and meaning. And they do not tell you what said connotation and meaning is until you find out in the most inappropriate and awkward time. I had this moment where it was starting a 10-week project for school in January. So real lengthy thing. I got paired with this girl who was like the sharpest in our class. Really intimidating. I already was in the position. And yeah, just absolutely gorgeous too. I was super nervous. I wanted to make a great impression. So like we're having this kind of like meet and greet, you know, get to know one another, get a good vibe because we're going to be working for so long. And so she says, "Oh, so Dave, I've heard like you got a maple leaf tattooed on you. You wear plaid all the time. You say A every other word. You're pretty stereotypically Canadian. So like, can you tell me something that you find like really, really stereotypical? But I don't want to hear about hockey or Tim Hortons or any of those things. Like some really a lot of Canadians would like." So I was like, "Well, I can do that. That's fine." I gotta be honest, I'm sorry if you don't like this, no ladies allowed. Much more preferring when it's just the boys, like the ones who I grew up with and are really close to me, like the really core group of friends. And you know, we get as many of us together from across all over the place, maybe 10, 15 of us, load up the cars, get as much alcohol as we can carry, as much food as we can carry, and, you know, we go cottaging for a whole weekend. And her response to that was, oh. Oh, okay. Anyways, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sakes. Like, there goes anything. She thinks I'm an idiot. I just told her all I want to do is get obliterated drunk on the weekend. She's going to think I'm not going to pull my weight. This is terrible. I need to get back in this. I need to regain this impression. So again, back in the stands. Got ready. Was all motivated for it. And so, like, we're talking. 20 minutes goes past. And then, kind of abruptly, she looks at me and she goes, so I just, you know, you mentioned, Dave, what's cottaging to you? Just... And I looked at her, and pretty much I imagine every person in this room would answer that question. I said, hey, you know, going to the cottage. And then she looks at me, and she goes, oh, going to the cottage. Got it. And I looked at her, like, what the fuck does cottaging mean? Immediately, her face goes as red as my suspenders, and her eyes go straight to the ground, and she gets very sheepishly quiet, and then takes 3 deep breaths, looks up at me, and goes, well, cottaging's kind of like when a group of men get together and have a really aggressive orgy in the woods. I looked at her, and I said, so you're telling me when you asked me what the most stereotypical thing myself and most Canadians would love to do besides Tim Hortons and hockey was that I love nothing more than to load up the cars with as many of my close male friends as I can and go cottaging for a whole weekend? And she said yes. I was not allowed to work on the project with her. That's it for me. I'll be at the cottage if anyone wants to.
Keep it going for David, everybody.